The instance that readily comes to mind is the Ebute Meta Kodas building episode. The facts are here. I received the call at 2:45 in the night. The incident happened at 2 o'clock. Before people could get whose phone, who is in charge, or who do we call, I received it at 2:45. Coming to 3. We were there on ground at 3:15. Mind you, Ibrahim Faniloye, who I have chosen as my commander of the search and rescue team, because of his attitude and readiness and passion for the work, I called him. He's a Muslim. I am a Muslim. He said, "Okay, let's observe our iftar." He knows he's a Muslim. That is our early morning meal. I said, "Man, we can't wait because the exterior, the shout and the cry I had on my phone, the background voice portends that people were in danger. So we cannot afford to waste any moment." So we moved swiftly to the scene. We got there 3:15. We were walking. Mind you, whatever you call yourself, first responder, second responder, tertiary responder. The unofficial first responder are neighbors who want to be their brother's keepers. So they were there walking. Call them area boys, whatever you want to call them. When it is an emergency, they become Samaritans. So they were walking. We saluted them. We encouraged them. We had to organize them. Because it is the neighbor that will tell you, under this rubble, this is the room where 6 people slept yesterday. Don't waste effort trying to start your job from the parlor. Nobody's in the parlor. So they are useful instruments when it comes to response. Okay. So
did you
by the time Lasema came...
Were you there before Lasema on this particular...
I'm coming. We were working. We had worked for about 6 hours.
6
Believe
hours?
you me. 9 o'clock, the fact is there. We had worked for 6 good hours. 3 to 9 o'clock in the morning before Lasema came. And Lasema started embarrassing everybody. They used the machinery in their disposal to the RRS to arrest people. Why? Because
I don't understand.
They wanted to get rid.
I really have to cut you somehow so that we can get some facts.
Yes.
Farin Loye is your, like...
My head of search and rescue.
And he was already at the scene.
I was there too.
Before Lasema came.
Before Lasema came. 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
It was Lasema who ordered the policemen in the unit to arrest Farin Loye?
Sure. Why it is so is this. The commander of the RRS came. I said, "Who are these boys? They should move out." The people had been walking, they are tensed up.
Don't they have any identification?
No.
Okay, is that what's happening here? Is this the case here?
That's it.
Is that it?
That's it.
Because,
well,
the reflective jacket we see...
is NEMA.
That's a kind of identification.
Sure, for sure.
Ordinarily, a police officer should know that that's a
an authority.
Yes. So, were you or a member of your staff, they weren't in their kit?
All of them were in their kits, and we have emergency volunteers that were in their kits. But then the target was Farin Loye.
Why?
Because of publicity. They feel that he's gaining grounds as far as the press is concerned.
Gaining grounds?
I don't know. For what? They have ordered him not to speak again. The letter says it is here.
But
he should take
it's really
order
hard, it's really
from
hard to
Lasema
believe
GM.
that people are trying...
Listen to me.
Well, it's hard to
you
believe,
will read this.
because what we're getting is that people's, should I say, discomfort or pains, people are actually making it look like gain to them.
For sure. See what was posted on Lasema website. Lagos Commissioner chases NEMA officials out of Kolas building. Is that something to celebrate?
On whose website?
Lasema. And
when was this?
I extracted this yesterday. It's likely to be there, or even now.
What about the letter that you said there? Could
you
read some text
you see,
of it to us?
If you celebrate that you chase workers out of sight, why not celebrate that in this episode there were 12 people trapped, we rescued 11, and there was 1 casualty? That is good to celebrate. Why celebrating the fact that you chase workers out of sight? It's absurd. This is the letter.
Could you read some text to us, the part that you think it's rather surprising?
It's surprising that operations at emergency and disaster sites in Lagos State. This is not a quotation. That the Lagos State Emergency Management Agency is the primary responder and that NEMA is secondary. It must be noted that NEMA is a secondary responder in any state where a SEMA is in place. And we've been working together before now. The SEMA law was reviewed about 2 years ago. I don't know of the outcome, but we contributed to it. People contributed to its review. And the clause that says that NEMA is among the primary responders is still there. It has not been removed. So how come suddenly you are now putting NEMA as secondary responder? Two, they say head of SEMA in the state, in this case, head of SEMA, in this case, the SEMA, is the incident commander in any emergency or disaster scene. No problem. Nobody is fighting that you should not be commander. But for you to be a commander, you must arrive early. The type of incidents should dictate that you be commander. If there is a fire, of course, it's the chief fire officer that will be the incident commander according to the structure.
Do you think
how can me, who don't know anything about firefighting, go and take command in a fire incident?
Do you think all this is coming up because of perhaps maybe they have questions about capability of NEMA in terms of their performance? Do you think so?
They have not stated that. They are quoting the law, and the law is, they have quoted it upside down.
But is NEMA capable of handling this?
Why not? Were you not there when there was an emergency landing of a plane from Morocco or so that we properly coordinated and there was no emergency? This particular case at Ebute Metta, we had already extricated 7 people. You get my point? Alive, and unfortunately 7 people were dead. There was nothing to remove again by the time they were coming. Those survivors were only taking their belongings. 9 o'clock in the morning. Let me tell you, if you wanted to arrest somebody for coming to the site when he is not supposed to be there, it will not be daytime. When this thing happened at 2 a.m. You agree with me?
Can I see that? Can I see that?
What? This letter?
The arrest? The one from the website.
This is the charter.
All right. No, the one indicating that he was arrested on. Okay, good. Thanks.
Well, what wonders?
Then, before we go, let me say something here. Let me give, because I don't know how many minutes more I have. Let me state this critical thing. You see, let us give it to Lagos State. In all areas of human endeavor, emergency management inclusive, they are solid. They have equipment. They have sufficient manpower. But then, Lagos State is the first state, for goodness sake, to have an emergency call number, toll-free, 767. And pursuant to that, there is a command and control center where all responders, primary, secondary, are represented. So at a point in time, a team of experts from the UN OCHA, Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, came to Nigeria and they felt it necessary to see the Lagos example. When we got to the command center, they were impressed. Then they said, who is this? Police, road safety, all sorts of responders. What of NEMA? The umbrella body. NEMA was not there. So it was suggested that we should be co-opted into that command center. And I told my DG that, see, Oga, there is need for us to be represented there. So if somebody calls NEMA on our toll-free line, we inform our boys that are there at the command center and we inform the SEMA. So they move together.
So NEMA has toll-free lines too?
Of course. So if it is the SEMA they call, 767, as they are going, our boys are going to support them.
What's your toll-free number?
0800, call NEMA. So,
don't you think you should make that shorter?
No, we are working on 3 digits. You know, we are not in control of the communication system. That is the one we are adopted now. If it's FRC, it's the same thing. 0800, call FRC. That is the standard for now. So what I'm saying here is that the DG then wrote to His Excellency, the Governor of Lagos State, Mr. Babatunde Raji Fashoda's son. This letter was dated 23rd of April 2012, more than a year ago, and it was received in the office of the Chief of Staff on the 30th of April, barely a week after. Since then, you know, like I said, a state emergency management agency cannot go straight to international community. So I cannot go to His Excellency, but through my colleague at the state level, through Lasema. So I went through Osan Itodu to deliver this letter. Weeks later, there was no reply. I called him, so we are attending to it. Months later, I called him, he said we were attending to it. So after a year, I said, oh man, it's getting too late. We need to be together if we are actually collaborating. Then I said, okay, let me do a reminder to this letter and sign for the DG so that wherever it is, and I will affix this, wherever it is, they can take action. He said, no, that will be an indictment on my office and on my person. Please, my brother, just tell the DG to write another one. How come? How do I go to the DG that 1 year after he had written a letter? I'm asking him to write a fresh one and put the current date. I said, no, what I can do, the best I can do is to write a reminder. So the matter stays there.
Because what I'm getting to see here looks to me like, well, some kind of publicity, stunt and publicity gain by any of the agency, because what we get to see about this particular headline here, Lagos Commissioner chases NEMA officials out of collapsed building site.
And they are celebrating that.
And they didn't do that while you people were working. They only did that when Mr. Farinloye was conducting, well, was having an interview with, well, a journalist. And that was why he was stopped and asked to leave the scene.
You can't promptly do it at the scene of the incident. You do it after the episode.
No, we understand, but you can do it at the scene. But after the episode, that is what it says here, that he was granting an interview to a television reporter when Mr. Ahmed, who arrived alongside the Lasema GM, threatened to send the RRS squad after him.
At what time of the day? On that
well,
day?
The time
You know,
wasn't
it was
actually
past
stated
9
in this
o'clock in
particular
the morning.
report.
Past 9 o'clock. Is that to be a first responder? Look at the reason of the commissioner for chasing out Farinloye. Look at the reason, and I will come up with a point. He said that nobody should give an interim interview until the whole exercise is completed. You know, in emergency management, people have been wounded, relations have been affected, there is sorrow in the air. They want to know how far you have gone. Have you been able to save how many? What are their identities? Where did you take them to? So information flow should be constant. And as such, there is nothing wrong in granting interview midway. Secondly, when you arrive at an incident scene, you are supposed to quickly give your boss a situation report. Okay. After that, you continue to give interim report until you finish. And lastly, you say until the exercise has been concluded. Suppose it is a serious one that takes 2 days. What information will you give relations and the Nigerian people?
When Lasema and NEMA get to an accident, an emergency scene, yes, and rescue operation is going on, who's in charge of? Don't you think that if Lasema and NEMA are speaking to separate media houses about the same events, they will be misleading?
I understand that. But scarcely do we arrive there at the same time. We always arrive first. Okay. Even though this is...
I'm looking through the Establishment Acts of NEMA. Yeah. And I'm in part 2, which talks about functions and powers of the agency, etc. Now, under section 6, subsection 1, paragraph B, it says, quote, okay, no, 6.1, so that I can put it in context. The agency shall, and then I skip to B, coordinate and promote research activities relating to disaster management at the national level, yeah, being the operational world national level. And then I now scroll down to K. K says, liaise with state emergency management committees established under section 8 of this decree to assess and monitor where necessary the distribution of relief materials to disaster victims.
Yeah, I've been doing that.
Can we not assume by these sections that NEMA is basically to assist the state agencies? Because while you do that at the national level, if they latch on to it saying we are supposed to be the primary agencies here, shouldn't you be playing like a backup role?
You will be running contrary to the law that sets you up, unless you have amended the law. The law I have shown you of Lagos State Emergency Management Agencies here, and it puts NEMA as primary responder. Why? Because the state emergency management agencies, like I told you, especially particularly LASEMA, is just 5 years old. You have to learn from somewhere. It's like an engineering student. You have to undergo some attachment to companies to be able to stand alone.
Yes, but if they feel that they can stand alone,
let it be spelled out in the law so that we shall not be found wanting as primary respondent where we do not go there. This letter to the DG is not sufficient. It's a matter of law. They can sue us.
But you know, it's a federal system.
It is.
And the federating units have to be properly so-called, which is what everybody is angling for. So if the state says, well, we need to take charge of this, what's wrong with NEMA saying, okay, if that's what you want to do?
When there is anything that is running concurrent means that you do it simultaneously. You do it side by side. These are Nigerians, for God's sake. Why is Lagos State in the educational sector not telling the University of Lagos to pack its load and go to Abuja? Okay.
How do you get funded? By the federal government, organizations, NGOs?
All of the above.
Okay. All right, then. Thank you for coming on this morning. We've been speaking with Mr. Iola Akonde, who is the Southwest Zonal Coordinator of the National Emergency Management Agency, taking a look at this feud going on between themselves